Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Coach Bob McCreary. Hey, if you're a coach, this time of year is tough because you're just getting on the field for the first time this season. You have a whole lot of things to cover and you don't have a lot of time to do it. Now, to start off most practices, here's how it typically works. You say a few things to your team, the team goes down the outfield, they form a circle, they do their whole stretching routine, they run some sprints, and then they throw, and that's great. But if you only have an hour, hour and a half practice, you have just wiped out the first 15, 20 minutes of your practice. So in a little bit, you're going to see a video that I did for a local youth organization to help them manage their practices a little bit better. Now, one of the things that I talked about was how to more effectively utilize that first 15 to 20 minutes of your practice so that you can get a lot more done in a short period of time. Now, as you're watching this, I want you to think, is this a type of session that might benefit my coaches? So in the end, I'll give you some information that if you would like me to do a session like this for your coaches, I will let you know how to do that. All right, so let's check out the video and hope you learn how to make that first part of your practice a lot more effective. Here it is. Now, the answer to all those questions for me are what I call compound drills. So if any of you guys are weightlifters, you guys go to the gym, okay? If you only had 15 minutes to work out, say you're running late, just got to jump in and jump out. Typically, people who are good at fitness are going to say, do some compound drills. So if I'm going to go to a gym and I don't have a lot of time, I'm going to do a deadlift, okay? Because a deadlift is going to hit multiple muscle groups at the same time. I'm going to avoid drills that isolate one particular muscle, okay? So you guys have a little bit of background in that if you've ever worked out. And so instead of compound exercises, I call them compound drills, okay? So the drills that I create here for tryouts when I don't have a lot of time and in the beginning of the season where I don't really care about specific skills, I'm really just trying to get their baseball feet under them and get them moving again and baseball movements, I will use a lot of compound drills, okay? Because these drills do all four of those things at the same time. They warm the body up, they get their arms and legs loose, they're incorporating baseball movements and skills in the drills, and you're starting to introduce them to some baseball situations. So instead of working on these individually, okay, everybody run out, take a few laps around the field, you're focusing on warming up the body, but you're doing nothing with their arms and so forth. So with these drills, you can do all four of those things at the same time. Okay, so there are many others, but these are the top four that I've typically used in youth, in my youth teams. Rundown relays, catch and throw lanes, pass drills, and square drills. So let me show you what they are and what they work at the same time. All right, so rundown relays. You guys have all seen a rundown on a field. Now, whenever I practice rundowns on a field with any of my team at any level, I never use runners. It's just the fielders, okay? I won't get into the specifics of exactly the technique of how to do a rundown, but you're just mimicking the concept of a rundown with no runners. And you'll be amazed at how much kids are doing when they're doing that basic drill. So in this case here, I have kind of a long rectangle that could be triple crown or complete game, just whatever space you have available. So in this scenario here, I got 3 lanes, okay? I got 6 bases. I'll talk about bases in the future a little bit. It's good to have a whole bunch, and I'll explain how you can make them yourself. But I got different players at each base. The P stands for players. And you start with the ball on one side, and then when you say go, the player runs as if they're running a runner back. And when they get to that midline, that's when they throw to the next runner. And then whoever threw the ball goes to the end of the line, and the players just go back and forth. Okay. Now, that dotted line in the middle is something where you're starting to incorporate some baseball skills here. Basically, in most cases in a rundown, runners, after they throw the ball, you always want them to go to the right. Okay, maybe sometime in the future I'll explain why, but it just makes the drill go faster and better logistically to all have the players going in the same direction. But there's actually a baseball explanation for that, but that's for another time. So basically, rundown relays are just players going back and forth, holding the ball, running. When they get halfway, they toss it and then go to the end of the line, and the runner catches it and runs back the other way, and you just keep on going back and forth, okay? And you can do that for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, And not only are you getting their legs loose, they're getting their arms loose because they're a little bit of a toss. They're working on a baseball skill, something they're going to have to do in the game. And so all of these things you can look at in this very basic drill. Their ability to catch, the ability to throw on the move. Like when kids just stand there and play catch back and forth, you don't ever see that style of catching and throwing in a baseball game. You're always moving as you're catching and throwing. And so if you can incorporate that into the drills, you can see a lot more there. Obviously, you get to take a look at their running and their overall athleticism, their throwing accuracy. If you do decide to speed up a little bit, say, okay, guys, we were just kind of jogging. Now I want you to dial up the speed a little bit. Nobody's airing out their throws. Nobody's sprinting. They're just kind of easing back and forth. But if you turn up the speed just a little bit, you can see how the kids react when the game gets a little faster. Of course, travel ball is a little faster, and so that's good to see as well. Who can handle that extra speed? And of course, following directions. If you want them to throw and go to the right, well, how many kids actually do that? Okay. So, and of course, a game-like situation. So just that one basic rundown relay, you are seeing a whole bunch of these things. So very often I would have my kids, we wouldn't do the normal stretching and the warm-ups. We would just jump right into this as soon as they come on to the court or wherever we are, because you're accomplishing the warm-up, you're getting some throwing in, and you're looking at some baseball skills and movements immediately right off the bat. Instead of wasting that first 15 or 20 minutes, jump them right into something like that, and you can see a whole bunch, okay? All right, now one other thing here, you could, if I were to then jump into the next one here, we have catch and throw lanes. So now, instead of kids running back and forth in a rundown relay type of deal, they're staying at their base, and the ball just goes back and forth. So now you've lengthened the throw a little bit, so you're stretching their arm out a little bit more gradually, and the same kids stay right where they are, so you can transition right into this drill without really having to explain much and move kids around. And all kids are doing is basically just catching and throwing back to the other side. After they throw, they peel off to the left. The next kid comes up, and the ball just keeps going back and forth, okay? Real simple drill. But again, just like before, you're seeing a lot of different things of catching and throwing. Eventually, after a couple minutes where guys are getting a couple reps and so forth, you can then add tags, okay? Another thing that they're going to have to do in a game. So here's how I would manage the tag. So the star represents where the player is going to catch and then tag, okay? Because we're pretending the runner is coming straight at him. So he catches the ball, makes a tag where the star is, okay? After they do that a few times, catch, tag, and then throw back to the other side, then I can move where they're tagging, okay? Now this does a few things. First off, it changes the angle. Now it's as if the throw is coming from the player's right, and now he's got to reach over and tag as if the runner's coming from the other side of the base. So it would be like almost like a catcher throwing down to second base, and the shortstop has to catch and reach over and make the tag on the other side of the bag there. So we're kind of replicating that type of game-like situation. And then after a few times, you could switch it to the other side. Okay, so just using it to kind of spice up the drill a little bit, switch it up, and you're getting kids a lot of different game-like situations and different actions there. So once again, ability to catch, you're seeing right off the bat, looking at different tags from different angles, throwing motion, okay, because now they have to throw a farther distance. So we're seeing, is their arm motion smooth? Is it labored? Their accuracy. Now, when I say circles, this depends on how old the kids are. If the kid is 8 years old, maybe first year travel, 9 years old, basically what I tell the kids is if you stick your arms out and you kind of go like this, you're creating a big circle with your arms. If you can throw it inside that circle as an 8 or 9 year old, to me, that's pretty accurate. As kids are 10, 11, 12, that circle should shrink. By the time a kid's 12, I would have the kids draw kind of an imaginary circle. The top of my head is the top of the circle, my shoulder, my chest, the other shoulder and back. That right in front of me kind of is where I want them to throw that ball. So I can judge accuracy by how often they're putting the ball in those throwing circles there. Once again, if you dial it up, tell them to speed it up a little bit. You see who can react to that adjusted speed. Certainly a lot of footwork and making adjustments. Most of the throws they're going to get are going to be a little bit offline. And so how well do they move their feet and make adjustments to catch and then come back and tag? And then baseball IQ. Who already knows to catch a ball with two hands? Who already has an idea of kind of how tagging works and the proper way of doing it? So basic drill, just ball going back and forth. You can see all of those things in a pretty short period of time there. Now, the next one is a pass drill. Now, this has been called different things. It's almost like a football going out for a pass, basically. Now, this is one where obviously where you are is going to play a role whether you can do this. If you're in a facility like a Longstreth or Triple Crown or something like that, they may not have the ceiling height to do this. So if you're like all sports, this will be fine. But I'm going to show you an option. If you don't have the ability to throw a pass like a fly ball, I'm going to show you another option here in a second. But in this case here, you have two coaches or helpers in the middle. The player hands the coach a ball and goes out for a pass. And the coach just throws a pass like a football pass. And the kid then catches it, peels off to the sides, come back, puts the ball in the bucket, and you're running through kids there. Now, what I would do is I would do this for maybe a few minutes and then have the kids all switch at the same time. I've seen it done where every time the player goes, he peels off and then goes to the other line. Usually you have too many kids just going every which direction. I find it better to manage if you move all the kids at once so that the kids can get both sides there. Now, like I said, if you're in a facility where the ceiling is pretty low, then I would have the coaches bounce them. Okay, so what I might do with the kids is say, listen, when you take off, I'm going to throw the ball ahead of you and it's going to bounce. Your job is to catch the ball before it bounces a second time. Okay, so you're getting a lot of skills here. Okay, kids are counting as they're running, so they have to make sure they get it in time. And so once again, the ability to catch on the run is what a baseball player has to do, because virtually when that game starts, for almost every catch, they're going to be moving as they're catching. And so this is a great way to see who can actually catch on the run. The ability to run without slowing down. There's some kids who can run fast, but put a glove in their hand and have to catch a ball, and they're like half speed. And so that is a baseball skill of being able to run full speed with a glove on your hand and catch the ball. Throwing motion, if you do decide after the kid catches the ball to turn, spin, and throw back to the coach, of course, you can add throws there and see throwing motion and accuracy. And, of course, footwork of their running ability, making adjustments, especially on the one where you bounce it. They have to kind of speed up or slow down accordingly. So we're seeing a lot of good baseball movements with these drills here. The last one is a square drill. These are probably, for me, at the upper levels, probably this is the best drill to do. And I can see the most things how I organize this. For little kids, it's a little tougher. You have to stay a little bit more basic. But the concept is this. If that's my space that I have, 4 bases in each of the corners, or one base in each of 4 corners, players are divided up, and the ball just goes around from one corner to the next. In this scenario here, it's going clockwise. If I have these kids in 3 groups, let's say group 1 is on the bases, group 2 is sitting down in the center so that they're not in danger of getting hit by the ball. Group 3 is sitting down, and then the coaches are just standing right in the center watching the ball going around. And the players at each base are just alternating who gets the catch and who gets the throw. So I do that clockwise, and then after a while, turn it around, do it counterclockwise. And so there's so many variations. If this was the configuration of the space, typically the longer throw, I would have the guys throw overhand. The shorter throws on the side, I would have them underhand the ball. Obviously, there's times in the game where you're going to need to underhand the ball. So that's what I would like to see as well. So square drills, you can just build upon. There's a million variations of square drills, but that is a good way to see a lot of things very quickly. All right, so those are just 4 compound drills. Now, basically, this could be, if I chose 2 of them or 3 of them, this could be the first 20 to 30 minutes of my workout, and I've pretty much seen everything I need to see. And they haven't even fielded a ground ball yet. I haven't even hit them a fly ball yet. And I've seen everything that I would need to see on the defensive side of the ball. Catching ability, throwing ability, footwork, agility, IQ, all of these things that we would want to see basically in all those drills. And that just takes me the first 20 minutes and I've saved a whole bunch of time as well.